A woman never belongs to you. It's just your turn.
Rich guys and hot guys get cheated on like everybody else. You lost your edge, she lost attraction. That's how it works. Don't just give her your attention. Make her earn it.
What'd you think she was gonna do? Tell you she cheated?
Live from Philadelphia, your man, Donovan Sharpe.
What's up, guys? It's your man, Donovan Sharpe, and welcome to the 502nd edition of TSR Live, your daily dose of red pill truth, wisdom, and awareness. It is Monday, August 19th, 2019. We are presented by Gorilla Mind Rush, the #1 focus, energy, and productivity supplement on the market. You can support the show and support your goals by getting Gorilla Mind Rush at donovansharpe.com/Gorilla Mind Rush. As always, we are streaming live to YouTube, Facebook, and Twitter. So however you're watching, wherever you're watching from, thank you for making the Sharpe Reality Live a part of your daily routine. We hit a milestone over the weekend. We've hit the 25,000 subscriber mark, so congratulations to everyone for making this one of the fastest growing red pill channels on the web. Let's all do our part and make sure that it continues by liking, commenting, and subscribing, and most of all, sharing the videos. A big thanks goes out to Mario M, who donated $20 last night through my Streamlabs link. Appreciate that, Mario. If you'd also like to contribute to the show, streamlabs.com/DonovanSharpe1, streamlabs.com/DonovanSharpe1. Let's get right to it. Today would have been part 3 of my 3-part series on a video by Pageantine on signs of a controlling boyfriend, but she took it down. I talked about that in yesterday's live stream. You guys can go and check that out. So while there will be no part 3, we do have a great topic for today, and we can thank Leon Tolton, who is a Facebook follower of mine, for submitting today's topic. Leon submitted an article on a website called Madame Noir, entitled "More Women Need to Date Like Rihanna," and it was written by Sonia Eskridge. Now, based on a few titles from this website, it appears to be a gold mine for the show. Anyway, let's go ahead and get started here. Turn that down, would you? Let's go ahead and get Devin's working from home today. So anyway, it says Rihanna may have one of the hottest love lives as everyone around tries to figure out who she's with now and how long it will last. Despite her rough past, as my new cat Dexter is making an appearance on the show, Rihanna has been giving single girls everywhere some love lessons as a living example. When considering her dating patterns, we picked up on a few gems on how to date like her. So right out of the gate, Sonia is glorifying promiscuity by characterizing Rihanna's love life as one of the hottest around. Translation: Rihanna has been with a lot of guys and has had a turbulent, volatile love life. Gentlemen, this is nothing to be proud of. Okay, Miss Eskridge, like most female authors who write about dating, is leading girls astray when they characterize bed hopping as hot. Young girls, they read this kind of stuff and they think, yeah, I've been with a lot of guys. I've had a turbulent, volatile love life just like Rihanna, and if she's okay, then I'm gonna be okay. It's okay. If it's okay for her to do it, then surely it must be okay for me to do it too. Then she makes trying to figure out who she's with and how long it'll last as a badge of honor. No, this isn't a badge of honor. Not knowing who she's with this week isn't anything to be proud of. People wondering how long your relationships will last is not something a woman should be dignified to think or say about herself. When a girl gets with a guy and her friends wonder, how long is this one gonna last? They're not really asking a question. They don't really care about how long it's gonna last because, number one, girls don't really care about each other. Number two, they're making a statement by asking a question. You see, gentlemen, when people around a female ask this question, what they're saying is that she gets around. They're saying that she has men in and out of her life all the time, and her bedroom is a revolving door. And if women are honest with you, and themselves for that matter, they'll tell you that if they find out that someone asked, well, how long is this guy gonna last? They would feel anything but honored. Asking this question about any given guy a girl is with quite literally says she's a hoe. Period. End of discussion. And this is exactly what Rihanna is. Now, the statement Rihanna has been giving single girls everywhere some love lessons as a living example is extremely dangerous for a lot of reasons, but the main reason is something I say every single time black women want to compare themselves and the plight of everyday sisters to celebrity. You ain't Rihanna. You're not Beyonce, ladies, sisters. You're not Halle Berry. You're not Kerry Washington. You're not Michelle Obama. You're not a celebrity, boo. Now, some might ask, well, Donovan, they're obviously not celebrities, so other than the obvious, why is being a living example for regular girls dangerous when celebrities do? Well, I'll tell you why. You see, Rihanna's been around, like most girls. They have that in common. Rihanna's also had some heartbreak, also something, the average non-celebrity girls have been through. And of course, Rihanna's been alpha widowed, 3 for 3, and we'll get into the alpha widow part a little bit later. But here's the main difference between Rihanna and Shaniqua. Rihanna's dated high-value men, gentlemen. Leonardo DiCaprio, J.R. Smith, Ashton Kutcher, Travis Scott, Shia LaBeouf, the list goes on. And while sleeping around is detrimental to a woman's physical, mental, and psychological health, regardless of a man's value, that damage is far worse when giving it to ASNs, and you brothers can figure out what that acronym means. Yes, gentlemen, Rihanna has lost the ability to pair bond, and no, she'll never really have a good relationship because of this. This is bad for her, but it is much worse for average girls who deal with average guys. Don't get me wrong, guys. Sleeping around is bad for women no matter what, but at least Rihanna didn't have to deal with her dude taking her car to see his baby mama or his side piece while she's at work. Rihanna didn't have to deal with men who had more than one apostrophe in their names, which tells you all they need to know about their mothers. Rihanna never has to deal with dudes being at her house all day smoking weed and playing video games with his homeboys, stinking her house up, eating up all her food, running out all her gas. She didn't really have to worry about messing with BANs, and you brothers can figure out what that acronym means, who always hit her up for money. All the guys that Rihanna has messed with and dated, they all have money. They all have their lives together. And while sleeping with all of these high-status men certainly wasn't good for her, the extent of that damage is not quite as bad as dealing with ASNs. DiCaprio didn't leave her broke. Travis Scott didn't get a credit card in her name. J.R. Smith didn't crash her car and then disappear. So while all of these girls think Rihanna is the pinnacle of dating success for women, she ain't. And following her example will leave girls broke because guess what, ladies? Ryan Philippe ain't checking for these broads like he's checking for Rihanna. Which leads me to the biggest reason why Rihanna will lead black women astray. And this is black women can't date white dudes like that. I say this all the time. You sisters get all excited about the fact that Rihanna's dated guys like Leonardo DiCaprio, Shia LaBeouf, Ryan Philippe, Ashton Kutcher. You guys get all excited about the fact that Meghan Markle married Prince Harry. But like I've said at least 6,000 times, white dudes ain't checking for sisters, and that's all there is to it. Just because Rihanna can do it doesn't mean you can. Just because Stacey Dash can do it doesn't mean you can. Just because you happen to know a black woman who dates white guys on the regular does not mean you can. The difference between you and her, the girl you know, is that she's hot, she's feminine, she's submissive, and she knows her place. Period. Period, point blank. The average black woman, gentlemen, is none of these things. So expecting to have blonde-haired, blue-eyed dudes line up to get with you because you see celebrities doing it is going to continue to disappoint you. For heaven's sake, sisters, stop believing you can do things you really can't do. White guys don't want you. Deal with it. All right, let's go to number 1. It says, quote, Rihanna has a rotation. It continues, a girl's got to have her options, and Rihanna is no different. Before her current relationship with Saudi billionaire Hassan Jamil, Rihanna had a rotation of men. This meant that she had plenty of options, another female who needs an editor, for male companionship when she decided that she wanted to enjoy it. Similarly, single girls should also have several men in rotation. Dating is a numbers game, after all. Entertaining several suitors at a time until you decide to be exclusive with one is just stacking the deck in your favor and being efficient about it. Guys, this is the quintessential example of women thinking that they can date like men, or women thinking they can date like men is what they should be doing, but then they wonder why things never work out. Of course it didn't work out. You're a woman, and when you date like a man, as a woman, you'll end up alone because you're supposed to date like a woman. Men should have a rotation. Men should be entertaining several suitors at one time until we decide to be exclusive, until when and if we decide to. This strategy works for men because we're men. But Donovan, women can do this too. If a girl wants a rotation, she can have one. 100% correct. Women can have rotations. Nobody's stopping them, and it's not against the law. So why does it supposedly work for men and not women? And yes, guys, I actually said supposedly on purpose, supposedly, because there are way too many chicks out here who say supposedly instead of supposedly. So I may as well, depict, the typical female as accurately as possible. Ladies, it is supposedly, not supposably. Jesus. Anyway, the answer to this question is obvious. And the answer is that sex affects men and women differently. This is why men who sleep around do not suffer physical, mental, and psychological damage, and women do. Men are physically and biologically designed to sleep with a lot of women. Women are not designed to do the same with men. Guys, sperm is cheap. Eggs are expensive, which means that sperm simply is not as valuable as eggs, which is exactly why the creator, whoever he is, designed men and women differently, guys. We got women out here treating their eggs like sperm. They're treating their eggs like they're cheap by sleeping around and getting abortions, wasting eggs with birth control. Women simply are not designed to sleep around. They are designed to procreate with one man and one man only. Men are designed to procreate with many women. This is the reason women suffer when they sleep around and men do not. Ladies, this is Mother Nature. This is biology. I don't make the rules. A stud horse is used to impregnate many female horses. A female horse doesn't take sperm from 12 horses. She takes it from one. A lion propagates a herd. A lioness doesn't have the cubs of 5 lions. Our ability to reason as humans is what separates us from every other species on Earth. But it's also why they think they can act like men sexually. Women can't stack the deck in their favor by sleeping around. They can, however, stack the deck by learning domestic skills, protecting their virginity, and being kind. These girls have more guys lined up for them than girls who have a rotation, because by the time girls with a rotation are ready to settle down, the guys in their rotation aren't around when they're ready to settle down. You want to know where those guys are? They're after the 19-year-old virgin who lives with her parents, knows how to cook, knows how to clean, loves to do it, and wants a family instead of a career. So go ahead and follow Rihanna and see what happens, ladies. Oh, wait a minute. You already have. You just chose to ignore it. Guys, if you want laser focus and a good, clean, controlled energy to get a lot done in a short period of time, you need Gorilla Mind Rush. I tried it last month and I have used it ever since, even when I was on vacation. Just 3 tablets in the morning with a cup of 4-sigmatic mushroom coffee with lion's mane and chaga, and my mind and body work at peak operating efficiency. I power through my workouts, and I have more than enough mental and physical energy left over to prepare for my show, do my consultations, and stay hyper-focused and undistracted the entire time. Now, here's what's going to happen after you take your 2-3 tablets of Gorilla Mind Rush. 15 minutes after you take Gorilla Mind Rush, you start to notice a subtle change in your mindset. 15 minutes after that, you'll notice that you're much more focused. You're thinking more clearly. You'll be a little more energetic, and your motivation to be productive goes up a little bit. An hour in, you will start to feel noticeably more focused. You'll also notice that you can concentrate even with distractions around. You'll also feel less stressed and less anxious. After 90 minutes of taking Gorilla Mind Rush, you are in full Gorilla Mind Rush mode. Your focus, your concentration, your memory will all be far beyond your normal state, and you will stay this way for at least 6 hours. And get this, there is no crash, guys. You get all the benefits of your mind being hyper-focused for a long period of time without the cliff when it wears off. If you need this kind of focus, this kind of energy and productivity while also supporting the show, go to donovansharpe.com/Gorilla Mind Rush. Again, that is donovansharpe.com/Gorilla Mind Rush. I put the link in the chat. You can also find the link in the description. All right, let's continue. Number 2, Rihanna has standards. Ooh. It says, quote, Rihanna has been linked with a number of men since her nasty breakup with Breezy. We'll get into that later. One thing I notice is that a majority of them, men, are all on her level. Rihanna is not just going to step out with some random. She's going to spend her time with the men who have something going for themselves and the self-confidence to show it. There's nothing wrong with having standards as long as they're reasonable, she continues. Single women should know what they want and not feel bad about expecting possible baes, Jesus freaking Christ, to meet their expectations. When you let go of your standards, you'll accept just anyone, and that often does not work out well for women because it allows men to put in minimal effort. Now this is where Miss Eskridge has a point. Kind of, and I'll tell you why. A staple in red pill awareness is the understanding that women will not date men who have equal or lesser value than they do. Okay? Women want to date up. They want to marry up. They want to F up. They're looking for men superior to them in most every single way. Rihanna's a woman, and because all women are like that, meaning that all women operate under the same imperatives when seeking mates, we're not surprised, we in the manosphere, we're not surprised that she's dating men on her level in terms of value. Now, to be clear, Rihanna does not have the same value as any of the men she's dated. They've all had higher value than her because they're men. Male celebrities who sleep around have far more value than female celebrities who sleep around by virtue of biology. This is just how it is. Women value men who have a lot of sexual experience with women. Men do not value women who have a lot of sexual experience with men. Yes, women who sleep around get the attention from high value men, but they never take these women seriously, which is why Rihanna has a long list of exes, which again is nothing to be proud of. Anyway, as I take a swig of water here, my throat keeps drying up. Sonia hits the mark again when she said there's nothing wrong with having standards. I totally agree, guys. Listen, women and men must have standards when dating, but here's where she misses the mark. Number one, average women have grossly unreasonable standards, and number two, women these days don't get to have standards. If you slept with men into the double digits, then you forfeit your right to have standards, sweetheart. Women can say all they want. They can say all they want to about how they're not going to settle, but unfortunately for them, it's too late. The 19-year-old virgin who lives with her parents, she can have standards. The 20-year-old who doesn't sleep around because she's waiting for a husband gets to have standards. The 31-year-old who has 3 kids by 3 different men doesn't get to have standards, guys. The 34-year-old who's had 6 abortions and has a 6-figure debt, she didn't get to have standards either. Now, Rihanna can have standards because she's still young, relatively young and beautiful, and because she doesn't have a bunch of kids or debt. But guess what, guys? She ain't 21 anymore. Rihanna's 31. And while she can still attract high-value men at her age, she won't be able to for too much longer. In a few short years, she'll be acting like Charlize Theron, who's complaining about men not wanting to date her and being asked to play Wonder Woman's mother. Anyway, Rihanna's net worth of over $500 million, this affords her the ability to be free of the baggage that weighs down most women her age on the dating market. She can have abortions, she obviously doesn't have debt, and she can afford anti-aging procedures like HGH, plastic surgery, Botox, etc. But guess what? The average woman doesn't have these kinds of resources, which is why the average 31-year-old American woman can't have the same standards as Rihanna does. And this, of course, is the reason black women need to quit comparing themselves to celebrities. Sisters, their lives are very different from yours, and your outcomes will be very different from theirs. Rihanna can sleep around and still have high-value men at her age at 31 years old, at least for now. But ladies, you ain't Rihanna. The only way you can have standards is to refrain from getting passed around, which, unfortunately for most of you, you can't or won't do. Number 3, Rihanna sets boundaries. Ooh, she sets boundaries. It says, quote, after years of flirtation and a semi-situationship, I have no idea, whatever that is, Drake found himself out in the cold. Why, she asked? Because he decided that presenting Rihanna with an award was the perfect time to confess his love for her in front of millions of people. Some girls might think that's really sweet, but Rihanna definitely did not. She and Drake haven't really been cool since the incident in 2016, but he only found out this year. When he crossed a line for her, Rihanna removed him from her rotation. What single women can learn from this is how to figure out your boundaries and enforce them by being decisive about the men you allow to access your time. If a possible bae can't respect your boundaries, you know that it's okay to swiftly shuffle him out of your life. Gentlemen, boundaries, like standards, can only be applied if you have options. No, ladies, having 20 guys in your phone who will come over and feed you a cucumber salad in 3 texts or less, that's not options. Having options is having your choice in high-value men. Rihanna has them, you do not. This is why girls always pine for what got away. They dump a guy not knowing that he was the highest value guy they'll ever get with. They'll ride the carousel for a decade plus, then expect higher value men to commit to them. When that doesn't happen, they then regret leaving the guy who had just finished medical school or law school, or who was in the beginning stages of starting his own business, and wonder what might have been had she stuck around. Anyway, Rihanna can swiftly shuffle men in and out of her life because she has others lined up, but only because she can still attract high-value men at the age of 31. But the average woman can't attract high-value men at the age of 31, at least not the same caliber of men who threw themselves at her when she was 21. But let's get one thing straight here, guys. Rihanna's not setting boundaries when she shuffles men out of her life. No. All she's doing is getting rid of dudes because she gets bored. She can do this again because she's Rihanna. Guys, call Drake whatever you want. Simp, beta, white knight, whatever. Drake's a high-value guy. Just because you're high value doesn't mean you have game. Drake clearly does not, yet he still has women throwing themselves at him. Well, Rihanna's been with enough dudes who have a lot more game than Drake, and eventually his act wore thin on her, and she ejected him when he tried his little public revelation of being in love with her. And by the way, guys, that was a punk move he did. Just like men who propose to women publicly, we've all seen this. It is cowardly for many reasons, and women know this. We'll talk about this probably in a later episode. Again, Rihanna can do what she does because she's Rihanna, and Rihanna has access to a stable of high-value men. Today's women think that they can afford to be picky like Rihanna, but they can't. And when they finally realize this, it's too late. So ladies, go on. Just swat away all these guys like you've got all the time in the world. Father Time is undefeated. He will come for Rihanna eventually. He came for Halle Berry, he came for Janet Jackson, and he came for Charlize Theron. It took him a little longer, but he eventually got him. Father Time comes for the average female much sooner. Never forget that. If you guys are looking for even more content, check out my Patreon page at patreon.com/Donovan Sharpe. Access to the archive all the way from episode 1, audio podcast versions of The Daily Show, and access to special guest podcasts with guys like Rollo Tomasi, Modern Life Dating, and Ed Lattimore are just a few of the many benefits you will get from becoming a Patreon or a patron. You will also get discounts on one-on-one consultations, bonus videos on girls, game, dating, and relationships, and access to my monthly call-in shows exclusively for patrons. All of this is just pennies a day. So go to patreon.com/Donovan Sharpe to support the show and help yourself. Again, that is patreon.com/Donovan Sharpe. Let's continue. Number 4, Rihanna is not pressed. Deb, bring me a bottle of water, would you? It says, quote, someone once asked Rihanna what she's looking for in a man. Instead of giving the reporter a list of qualities any man needs to have in order to think about stepping to her as expected, Rihanna told him that she's not looking for a man. Taking a relaxed approach in the search for love is crucial because desperation is not attractive. Potential partners, she says, can smell it from a mile away. Besides, if there is any cliche that holds true with any annoying consistency, is that you usually find love when you stop looking for it. When the right one does come along, he'll have to be pretty amazing to catch your attention, which is the kind of man you want. Guys, this is the kind of advice that gets women in trouble, including Rihanna. A girl who isn't pressed is a girl who isn't in a hurry to find and lock down a man. And this is why we've got a bunch of 30 and 40 somethings racing to freeze their eggs and asking where all the good men have gone. A female's true value is measured by the value of the man that she can attract, lock down, and have a family with. If a woman has a bunch of babies with a bunch of low quality ASNs, then it's correctly assumed that she is a low value woman. A woman that gets married and has kids with a high value man is either high value herself, meaning she's feminine, she's attractive, meaning not overweight, values traditional masculinity and gender roles, or she's a world-class actress who fooled a man into thinking that she's these things. Either way, she's held in a higher regard by both herself and others. But here's the problem with not being pressed. A woman's sexual market value, gentlemen, decreases every day, and it decreases rapidly. One day they're young and beautiful and can have any man they want. The next they've got crow's feet and a saggy body. It happens just that quickly, which is why we call it the wall. Women hit the wall. Men, we slowly roll down a 3-degree grade ramp. Anyway, taking a relaxed approach to dating doesn't work for women. Wait. Let me put it like this. Taking a relaxed approach to dating doesn't work for women because they simply do not have the time to be relaxed about finding a man. That's how that goes. However, I will admit that the advice that Miss Eskridge is giving is 100% correct. For a man, men have time to be relaxed and not pressed. Men aren't in a rush because we don't have to be. Desperation is not attractive for men, and women can smell it a mile away, just like Rihanna smelled it on Drake. Here's another fallacy. Women of high quality are never desperate, guys. They know they have their choice in suitors because they've refrained from engaging in behaviors that corrode their bodies, their minds, and their souls, like sleeping around, drinking in excess all the time, and doing drugs. Don't get it twisted. Rihanna is not a woman of high quality. She's an attractive woman with a high notch count and a lot of money. That's it. Her money means she's less of a financial strain on high-value men because she doesn't have children or debt. Having a sense of urgency as a woman is not desperate. A woman in her prime who knows time is running out and makes it a priority to lock a high-value man down isn't desperate. She's smart. You see, Sonia here is doing what all women do, which is disingenuously exaggerating a state of mind to the point where it's extreme. They call a sense of urgency desperation. They call a woman who stays at home with her man on a Friday night a girl who's under house arrest. The list goes on. Man, my throat is dry today. Holy smokes. Woo. Anyway, ladies, if you're not relaxed about dating, you're not desperate. If you have a sense of urgency about finding a man, you're not desperate. You happen to be a woman who has her priorities in line. Ladies, don't let other women shame you into doing what they wish they could do, which is find a man while you're still in your physical prime. Ladies, Rihanna's not pressed, but she should be. And if she should be pressed, then so should you. The next one, Rihanna seemingly has learned her lesson. It says, quote, Riri may have had some relapses with her ex, Chris Brown, but she seems to have moved on from the crooner these days. He, on the other hand, may still be carrying a torch for her. He reportedly still keeps tabs on her through social media, while she seems to have elevated her taste. Just like Rihanna, single women sometimes need to learn to look for different qualities in men. You might have a type, but that type may not be a good match for you. Don't keep going for the same guy over and over because you already know how it will end. Women need to look for the qualities that would make a man a good partner for them. Rihanna, she says, has absolutely done that from what we can see. Besides, if a handsome billionaire wouldn't get your mind off a problematic ex, I don't know what will. Oh, ha, 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 ha. And finally, gentlemen, we come to Briss Breezy. Guys, here's the truth. And y'all need to listen up. Don't get it twisted, y'all. Chris Brown owns Rihanna. He knows it. She doesn't. This is why she keeps going back to him. Chris Brown is the alpha male who does not tolerate Rihanna's nonsense. Chris Brown is the kind of man who checks Rihanna when she gets out of pocket. Chris Brown is the kind of man who doesn't act like he's all in love with her. Chris Brown knows he can do without Rihanna, and Rihanna positively adores him for it. This is why she can't leave him alone. This is why she keeps having relapses, and trust me when I tell you, she will have many more. You see, gentlemen, Chris Brown has done what we've called in the manosphere alpha widowed Rihanna. He is the only man who has ever acted like an actual man. Sonia Eskridge wants to say he still carries a torch for her because he keeps tabs on her through social media. Think about what she just said there. You follow a woman you still carry a torch for on social media. You slide into the DMs of a woman you still carry a torch for. But you keep tabs on your property. Make no mistake, gentlemen. Robin Rihanna Fenty is the property of one Christopher Maurice Brown and always will be. Just like Lonnie Anderson will always be the property of Burt Reynolds, even though he's 6 feet under. No man will ever make Lonnie feel like Burt made her feel, and that's a fact. Whitney Houston was the property of Bobby Brown until the day she died. Sure, Lonnie and Whitney dated around, but they always came back to the men who owned their bodies, their minds, and their souls. Rihanna's no different. She can get with all the billionaires she wants. She can get with all the A-list celebrities she wants. There will never be another man who engenders the same visceral arousal within her like Chris Brown. And if you look at your screen, you can see that he probably also knows this too. And finally, Rihanna has the courage to walk away. She says, quote, there have been rumors that Rihanna split up with her wealthy beau, Hassan. Supposedly she dropped him because she got bored of him, but nothing has been confirmed. Just a couple of months ago, there were rumors that she was getting ready to move to Paris for him. For all we know, they could be kicked back on someone's private beach sipping margaritas and cucumber water. But if she has actually dumped him, this shows that Rihanna's not afraid to leave a relationship when it is no longer working. What we know for sure, she continues, though, is that Rihanna is no longer the girl who would hold on to a relationship once it has definitively gone bad. The takeaway for single women here is that they should also distance themselves from men who are no longer good for them. It's not good to cling to a dead relationship. How can you possibly embrace the present or the future when you're still focused on the past? Like the hymn says, no turning back. Single women need to completely leave one relationship before they can give a new one a fair shot. Guys, this makes absolutely no sense. The heading in this section has positively nothing to do with what she wrote in the body. Having the courage to walk away is having the courage to leave a physically abusive relationship. What Sonia Eskridge is doing here is conflating courage with options. Rihanna doesn't have the courage to walk away. She has the options to walk away. She said the same thing now in 3 different ways. She said setting boundaries, which we all know means being selective. She said Rihanna isn't pressed, which means not having a sense of urgency. And now she says having the courage to walk away, which based on what the paragraph says means to leave if you get bored, because she actually said she dropped him because he got bored of him, speaking of Hassan, the billionaire. And women can only leave out of boredom if they have options. And this again is where women go wrong. You see, guys, women mistake sexual options for relationship options. They think that because they can get laid anytime they want, that they can be in a relationship anytime they want, and that's simply not true. This is why women in their mid-30s who get 100 matches a day on Tinder are not pressed to find a man, because they assume that because they can get a man's sexual interest at the drop of a hat, that they can get a man to commit just as quickly. They learn the hard way that this clearly is not the case. But let's go back to leaving this billionaire because she's bored. You see, gentlemen, Rihanna probably doesn't realize this yet, but she doesn't have too many opportunities with billionaires left, if she has any at all. She may very well have left the highest value man she'll ever attract. But because she, like most women, mistake a man's sexual desire for his desire to commit, she'll pass up options she can ill afford to pass up. And like most women, she won't realize this until high value men want nothing to do with her outside of sex. And by the way, you want to know why she's bored of this billionaire? Because he's not Chris Brown. This billionaire is not the kind of man who can give her the highest highs and the lowest lows like Chris Brown. He's not the kind of man who takes control of her like Briss Breezy. He's not the kind of man who checks her when she gets out of pocket like CB. So while Miss Eskridge can talk about how women should distance themselves from men who are no longer good for them, men in the know, men with red pill awareness, we know and understand that so long as any given woman is still sexually attractive, she will not distance herself from men who are not good for them. They only distance themselves when they have to, meaning that those no good men, they don't want anything to do anymore. They don't want anything to do with her anymore on account of her age and decreased sexual market value. So yeah, Rihanna's going to go running back to Chris, and yeah, Chris is going to take her back. But mark my words, gentlemen, and ladies too, there will come a day when Rihanna will slide into his DMs 6 months after another messy breakup and another couple of rounds on the carousel, and he doesn't respond. That will be the day she finally realizes the party is over. So ladies, go ahead and follow in the footsteps of celeb sluts like Rihanna, Taylor Swift, and the Kardashian. Everything is all fine and dandy until it's not. The fall from peak sexual attractiveness is precipitous, it is unflattering, and it is sudden. If you don't want to end up like Rihanna, do not follow advice like this. Thanks for watching, guys. We'll see you next time.